the 2nd of February. Let's get ready to buckle back in for the love letter ideas. The next one I think would be great is all of the things that remind you of them, such as you drank Cola Zero on your first date, so every time you see a Cola Zero you remember their laugh, or like all of the really small, kind of very insignificant things that remind you of them. Don't be like, oh, the bag you bought me reminds me of you. Like, okay. Like really small things, and preferably things that you both experienced and that were both small things that were important to both of you. Yeah. So I hope that helps, and start writing. Also, check out my book, take a screenshot, then you have the QR code. Also, if you don't want to write your own poems or love letters and you think you would love something like that for them though, if you order my book and you send me the screenshots and everything to the email that is in the description in the bio, there we go, you can like send me the screenshot of the proof, and then send me like information about the relationship, and I will write a poem about it. And I've actually written quite a few poems that like someone told me about something and then I wrote a poem about it. So check out my poetry, you can look at it on Instagram and then see maybe you want a poem personalized. And I also think it's fun because then you also have a book, which either if they like poetry you can give it to them, or if you like poetry you give them a present and yourself a present. Also, if you're doing Valentine's Day and you have like a really, really close best friend you love also to give a poem to, that's also a good idea. Screenshot. And 3 of February, and let's get back into the love letter writing. I think a great love letter to make someone especially feel seen is all of the really weird things that make them happy and why you like seeing them happy with the weird thing. For example, if someone's really into the ACOTAR series and like they ritualize it, or they have like the bookmarks, or they have shirts about it, or they're like really quirky about it, I think that's really cute to write about in a love letter and be like, oh my god. And then I know when you get blah blah blah, like I know when you get, for example, your cup of tea that's like this fruit, you're ready to like dive into a whole new universe, and it's so funny. Or like if they are like an expressive reader, you can be like, oh, and when you laugh at things in books. And also if you want to like weave yourself in, I think a cool thing is like, for example, I'm taking books as an example, when they read a book and you're like, oh my god, and when you laugh at things in books and you want me to feel included, so you explain it to me, or yeah, like these kind of things where it's just, I think in general this is an overall theme of love letters for the most part, is being seen and seeing the other person. And it's not about like, my god, you're perfect, you're awesome, I love you, thanks. It's about really like looking at the other person. I think there was this quote in Anna Karenina which really stuck out to me, because there was this one character talking to the other and it was quite mean. It was like something like, I actually have it on my page, go check it out. And just, it was like, if you're at all into self-improvement, this quote will kill you. But the cool thing with that quote though is like you really understand the other character seeing the other person, and that stood out to me through the whole book, where there's obviously the characters that see people for what they get out of them or what they provoke in them and all of that, and then there's characters who see the other person without the context of them. And I think, ironically, I think that's what makes the best love letters, because you're not in love with them for all of the things they bring out in you. That's a great bonus, but you're in love with them for the person they are. Yeah, so enjoy. Also, take a screenshot. This is the link to my poetry book on Amazon, paperback, hardcover, Kindle available. Also, if you would like your own poem about either a situation or your friend, or honestly, if you want a poem about yourself, you're like, you know what, I'm going to celebrate Valentine's Day single and I would love to have a poem about myself, buy it, send me the screenshot in the email in my bio, and tell me the situation you want me to write a poem about. I've written quite a few poems about other people's situations. They're even in my book as well, so enjoy. Hope you do it. Mwah. Have a nice day. Okay, day 4 of writing love letters for Valentine's Day. I think I've been a little very serious, and love letters should be fun. So we're gonna pull out the book again. It's called Love Letters from Great Men by Ursula Doyle. And yeah, I'm gonna read one. We're gonna take some inspiration. I think that will be fun. And yeah, also I have tons of other love letter ideas on my page if you want to, like, if you're like, I don't like this one, there's tons more, so choose the one you like. You should, I think, never write a love letter that you don't like. Like, you should enjoy reading it back before you give it to the other person. Because I think for the most part they can tell if it's inauthentic. Okay, so I'm going to read you like the background of the person who wrote it, and then the love letter itself, and then what we take from it. I think that would be fun. Richard Steele was a journalist, writer, and politician who, with his friend Joseph Addison, founded the Spectator magazine. Okay. Mary Skurlock was his first wife. He met her at the funeral of his first and courted her with a single-minded passion. No. She was the second wife. I read that wrong. She was the second wife, and he met her at the funeral of his first wife. I think they were very loose with the word great men. I mean, I think they meant successful, because so far I've not read a single one where I'm like, they seem like a stand-up guy. But okay. And courted her with a single-minded passion. The second letter here, written 2 weeks before their wedding, is both amusing and touching, and Steele's description of himself as a man completely distracted from day-to-day concerns by thoughts of his beloved. Richard and Mary were married in 1707, although their marriage remained secret for some time after that, perhaps for reasons of propriety. This could explain the rather mundane postscript to the third letter below. Ah, there's multiple. Okay, we'll do one, and then we'll do the next one tomorrow. There, below. Their marriage was famously happy. Okay, although sometimes tempestuous, and she remained throughout his life his dear Pure. Steele wrote his wife more than 400 love letters, both before and during their marriage. She died in 1718. Okay, so she not lived 11 years. She was with him for 11 years, and there was 400 love letters. I don't know if they never lived together. I'm assuming they did. So if you ever feel like you're writing too many love letters, there was a dude who in 11 years managed to write 400. You're good. You're absolutely good. And he ran the Spectator, so you're absolutely good. There's not a thing as too much. Unless like they're like telling you it's too much, then take the hint. Okay, so let's read the love letter. Adam, with what language shall I address my lovely fair to acquaint her with the sentiment of a heart she delights to torture? I have not a minute quiet out of sight, and when I am with you, you use me with so much distance that I am still in a state of absence, heightened with a view of the charms which I denied to approach. In a word, you must give me either a fan, a mask or a glove you have worn, or I cannot live. Otherwise you must expect that I will kiss your hand, or when I next sit by you, steal your handkerchief. You yourself are too great a bounty to be secured at once. Therefore I must be prepared by degrees, lest the mighty gift distracted me with joy. Dear Miss Sherlock, Skurlock? Okay, whatever, you didn't come here for the names. I am tired with calling you by that name. Okay, well at least we both don't like the name. Therefore say the day in which you will take that of Madam, your most obedient, most devoted, humble servant, Rich Steele. Okay, there's two things I really love about this love letter. I love about this love letter. Okay, I took the not being serious a little too serious. Um, One is him missing her. I think if you've ever missed them, so either like they've gone on a trip and you miss them and like go back in time and write about that. Like you can even set the date, like that week when you went on the trip, that's how I missed you and blah blah. Um, or when you miss them, like if you don't live together, like when you're at home and you're on the couch and you're like, what's the point of a couch if it's not with you? And like really honing in on the missing of them. I think that's really sweet because it's easy to like someone when they're around, but if you really love someone, you also like miss them when they're not around. And then the second thing that I really love about this, which I think is good that we read the pretext of like his life, is that he was the founder or co-founder of The Spectator, the magazine. So I'm assuming he was pretty successful. And what I really like with this love letter is that he dropped his ego. Like he was not like, oh, me, the great guy is missing you, or like something like that. He's like, the way he ended it, your most obedient, most devoted, humble servant, which is a little on the extreme side. I'll give you that. But I think the checking your ego before you write a love letter and really like, I don't think you have to put them above you in the love letter, but you do have to, it has to be an even playing field. And that's why I think the way you give compliments in a love letter is super important, because if you make it seem like, oh, aren't I grand to grant you this compliment, it comes off performative, if that makes sense. It comes up theatrical, I think. So checking your ego before you write a love letter is also super important. And I'm going to read all the other ones. I think there's like two more, let me tell you. There's one more. Two. There's two more. So tomorrow and after tomorrow, so we can learn more from him. Hope you're writing love letters. Also, if anyone receives the love letters that are inspired by this, I would love to see the person's reaction. If that's in any way possible, that would be so okay. Continuing on from yesterday's love letters, it's from the same guy, the guy that met his second wife at the funeral of his first wife. You know, very, very likable dude. Richard Steele. His friend found the Spectator. He is a journalist, writer, and politician. I am not great with reading, so I misread it. I thought he founded the Spectator. Anyway, still just as impressive, so not much was lost in translations here. Okay, next one. 2 weeks before their wedding. The last one was before their wedding, which makes sense. Madam, it is the hardest thing in the world to be in love, yet attend to business, and for me, all who speak to me find out, and I must lock myself up, or people will do it for me. A gentleman asked me this morning, what news from Lisbon? Right. And I answered, that's her name. The names? Unspeakably annoying. And I answered, she is exquisitely handsome. Another desire to know when I had last been at the Hampton Court. I also think it's interesting that people said handsome for both genders, because now if someone would say I'm handsome, I would assume it's an insult. Like I wouldn't be like, oh thanks. Like I don't know, I think beautiful goes for both, but it usually goes for girls. And then like handsome is very, yeah, I think it's interesting. Anyways, if anyone has any information about that word, I would love to know. I replied, it will be on Tuesday. Come. Okay, this is how this word is spelled. S-E N-N-I-H-T. I don't know how to spell it. Read it. P-R-Y-T-H-E-E. Okay, well this is killing me so far with my dyslexia. Allow me at least to kiss your hand before that day, that my mind may be in some composure. Oh, love. 1,000 torments dwell about me, yet who would live to live without thee? Methinks I could write a volume to you, but all the language on earth would fail in saying how much, and with what disinterest passion I am ever yours. Rich Steel. I think the two things I'm gonna always try to do two or three things I like. I think the two things I like in this poem is the idea of writing a poem about a conversation that like someone asks them something and and like the person thinks of you, like, so okay, you're the writer. If someone asks you something in a conversation, like what do you think of fill in the blank, and it reminds you of them, or you can't get them out of your head, and so that's what you think of. I think that's really cute to bring up like the amount of times they were in your head when it was like had nothing to do with them, but because they're just so present within you that you like thought of them then. I think that's really cool and cute. And then I think in general what I like about his poems, love letters, is that at the end he always gives like I'm yours. Like the first one was your most obedient, most devoted, humble servant, which is a little much, but it's cute. And then it's with the disinterested passion I am ever yours, Rich Steele. Like it's always that's how he ends it. It's not just oh, and he says his name. That's how he ends it. I think that's cute. I think in general, if you're planning on writing more than one love letter, you should have like a signature thing you do at the end. I think that was really, really cute. If you write a love letter to one person, and you have a signature thing, and you write a love letter to another person, like you break up or whatever, and then you start writing love letters again, don't use the same signature thing, would be my advice. I think the signature thing shouldn't be like your signature, it should be like the signature of your feelings for the person, specific, that one. Okay, hope you had fun. Excited to read the next one from this interesting character. Part 3, day 6 of February, but part 3 of reading love letters from the same dude, because he wrote 400. Which honestly, if I had that as a book, I would read it. Even though his character is a little interesting, like he met the woman he's writing these love letters to on the funeral of his first wife. So maybe not copy everything he does. Okay, so, my loved creature, I write this only to bid you good night, and assure you of my diligence in the matter I told you. You may assure yourself, I value you according to your merit, which is saying that you have my heart by all ties of beauty, virtue, good nature, and friendship. I find by the progress I have made tonight that I shall do my business effectually in 2 days' time. Write me word. You are in good humour, which will be the highest pleasure to your obliged husband, Rich Steele. I shall want some linen from your house tomorrow. I think this one's shorter, but I think this one's really interesting because he's reassuring her, and I think what his through line through his love letters, which I really love, is kind of giving her what she needs, which is like she needs reassurance. Then before the wedding, I think 2 weeks before, he was like telling her that she loved her. Then the first one was explaining what like effect she has on him, and I think I don't know what they talked about when they did talk and it was in love letter, but I think it really sounds like he was trying to make sure that she always feels safe. So that's the new love letter idea, which is safety, and figuring out what makes them feel safe and telling them that, and not like lying. Again, this is the premise of every single love letter. You cannot lie because it makes it seem disingenuous, and it also makes it seem like if you lie about one thing, you lie about all of the love letters. Like, my grand example is if someone is not a positive person, don't write that they're a positive person. You don't have to ever write that they're a negative person, but you do not write in a love letter, oh my god, you're so positive, when they're not. Like, you don't do that, because then if they have even like a little bit of self-awareness, they know they're not a positive person, and then it makes everything else seem like a lie. Yeah, and so figuring out what would make them feel safe, and actually trying to like do that within reason, within like what you want to do as well, but not just saying a lot of stuff that will make them feel safe and then like not acting accordingly. But yeah, so also this is the QR code. Take a screenshot to my poetry book, and if you buy it and you message the email below with proof, and you tell me your situation, I can write a love letter or a poem um, about your person, so you can give that to them, and you can give them a book, or you can give them both. Yeah, so I think that's super fun. Also, if you're single, you want to write a like love letter to your best friend, I think that's really cute. You can do the same thing. Or if you're completely single and you're like, I would like a love letter for me and all of the growth of them, buy my book and you can get a professional. This is a fun, quick love letter idea again. Is from now until Valentine's Day, and I'm sure you have already a couple anyways lined up in your mind or on their Instagram, of outfits of them that you really loved and why you loved them, and like writing that. And if you have pictures of the outfits, that would even be better, and like just describing that. I think that's super cute. And also make sure like you pay attention, especially if their love language is words of affirmation. That would do great. Also, take a screenshot of this. My book is available on Kindle, Amazon, paperback, and hardcover. And if you would like your person to get a personalized poem about or a love letter about your situation, you can send me that you bought it, and then I can write it and I can send it in straight away. Even if the book doesn't get there by Valentine's Day, you will still have a love letter. And I think that's super fun. And I've written before about other people's situations, and I actually think it works pretty well. And you can also check out my poems, so you know if you like my writing style. And yeah, go off. Okay, so if you've like followed along until now, and it's 8th of February, you've written a couple love letters. I think this should never, ever be your first love letter, but it is a good one once you've written a couple. Let's get into it. But before I do, take a screenshot. This is the QR code to my book if you would like me to write a love letter to your person, and like you can like write me your whole situation. If you buy the book, send me a screenshot. The email is in the bio. Or if you want a poem about yourself, you just have to buy the book, show me that you bought it, and then tell me the situation you want me to write about. Okay, so the love letter idea is the way they love you. Like, describe all the things that you love about the way they love you. And in the sense of like, I love when you bring me coffee in the morning, even when I've kind of been mean to you the day before, or okay, that's a really bad example, but like all of the ways that they love you and that like you really appreciate. I think that's a super fun love letter. It's also nice for you to like reminisce on the good times and all of the small things. I think, yes, you can point out some big things too, but I think for the most part, if you point out the small things that they do daily or weekly or where they think put a lot of effort into, that's cute. And yeah, I'll go back to like other stuff. Like we'll read the book again tomorrow. Mwah! Go off and write. Valentine's Day is soon. Okay, next love letter idea. It's the 9th. It's a fun one. It's also a little bit more writer focused. Before, take a screenshot. It's my book, and if you buy it, there's an email below, not below, like in my bio, where you can ask for a poem or a love letter that I write. You can just send me your situation after you bought it, It's available on Kindle and Amazon paperback and hardcover. Okay, so the love letter idea, that was a weird accent, is to write about all of the little things that you do for them that you really don't maybe love, but you love doing for them. Like, oh, I hate waking up at 5 a.m. and making you coffee. Don't write it like that, please. Write like, I used to hate waking up early and I used to hate having to cook, but with you it's super fun. And like, don't use the word hate. Use the word what it is actually. Like, for example, I found it super boring, or I found it this, and it sounds counterproductive, like counterintuitive to write all the things you hate that you do for them. But I think it's cute, and it's also good for appreciation. Maybe they don't even know that. I think a love letter should do one of three things. Make them feel appreciated and seen. Okay, I'm not gonna flip you off, so I'm gonna go with this one next. Make you feel like saying things you couldn't say in person, or make them see something new, or make yourself see something new. Like, it should be that way. My dogs are barking, so I'm distracted. But I'm gonna go off day 10. Are you kind of sick of writing love letters? Yeah, me too. No, I'm joking. But if you've committed to this, this is very impressive. So we're gonna read another one because I'm out of ideas. But before we do that, take a screenshot of the QR code. If you want a personalized poem, buy my book. It's available on Kindle, Amazon, paperback, hardcover. And if you buy the book and send it to me on the email in my bio, then write me your situation, I can write about it. Because it's pretty close to Valentine's Day already, please also shoot me a message on Instagram, so I'm sure to see it before Valentine's Day. Okay, George Farquhar. I am just that bad at reading names. I'm not trying to insult anybody. Okay. George Farquhar was born in Londonderry, the son of a clergyman, educated at Trinity College, Dublin. On leaving Trinity, he tried his hand as an actor, but suffered from paralyzing stage fright. He made his way to London, where his first play, Love in a Bottle, was staged in 1698, telling the story of an Irishman newly arrived in the city who is a great success with the ladies. By all accounts, Farrar was, I have dyslexia, I'm not trying to make fun of his name, was himself both handsome and charming, a wit and a troublemaker. One night in a tavern, Farrar heard a young woman named Anne Oldfield reading aloud behind the bar. He was so convinced by her that he introduced her to his friends in the theater, and she was taken on as an actress during Lane. George and Anne's liaison was not long-lasting, and in 1703, George married a widow named Mary. Okay. I also find it interesting because I guess there's always been multiple marriages, because I have the impression that, like, at some point there was always like, oh, you only marry one person. Clearly never the case in the times that these were written, because everyone's on their second marriage, which great. No, like, but I feel like divorce is so like, oh, so many people are getting divorced now, and it's like, are they not back then too? Because so far it sounds a lot like that, but that's not why you're here, so let's continue. He had money troubles all his life, and health problems, but even when his difficulties were at their height, he was still writing his dazzling and innocent comedies, the best known of which is probably The Recruiting Officer. Annie Oldfield began a long-term relationship with an MP, named Arthur Mainwaring at around the same time as George's marriage. Her career went from strength to strength, and by the time she died in 1730, she was both rich and famous. She is buried in Westminster Abbey. I don't know when this book was put together, but maybe she's still buried there. I don't know why I'm looking this up. 2008. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay. That's kind of sad. Everyone's dead. That was. Aren't you so happy? Okay, well, I think they're going in chronological order, so by the end of this book, some of these people might even still be alive. Okay. The love letter itself. Okay, to Anne Oldfield, Sunday afternoon. I think it's interesting to keep in mind that this relationship didn't last long. So maybe this one will be all the things you shouldn't do, because there's so many videos I have on my page of love letter ideas, so you can definitely go check those out. Okay. I came, I saw, and was conquered. Never had a man more to say. Yet can I say nothing? Where others go to save their souls, there have I lost mine. But I hope that divinity, which has just this title to its service, has received it. And I will endeavor to suspend these captures for a moment and talk calmly. Nothing on earth, madam, can charm beyond your wit, but your beauty. After this, not to love you would proclaim me a fool, and to say I did when I thought otherwise would pronounce me a knave. If anybody called me either, I should resent it, and if you but think me either, I shall break my heart. You have already, madam, seen enough of me to create a liking or an aversion. Your sense is above your sex. Then let your proceedings be so likewise. Then tell me plainly what I have to hope for. Were I to consult my merits, my humility would chide any shadow of hope, but after a sight of such a face, whose whole composition is a smile of good nature, should I be so unjust as to suspect you of cruelty? Let either live in London and be happy, or retire again to my desert to check my vanity that grew me thence. But let me beg you to receive my sentence from your own mouth, that I may hear you speak and see you look at the same time. Then let me be unfortunate if I can. If you are not the lady in mourning that sat upon my right hand at church, you may go to the devil, for I'm sure you're a witch. Yeah, I don't know if this is too lovely. It's a little odd, but I think the good don'ts are, and do's. I'm going to do one don't, one do. Yeah. Don't distance yourself so much from the person, because what I'm reading is a guy reviewing a movie, which is on theme since he wanted to be an actor. But it sounds like that. It sounds like he has no actual relationship with this woman, but he's just admiring her. The only time I think getting into a do you should do that in a love letter is if it is specific, because he's talking about all of her and distancing himself. He's not just talking about the way she looks, like he's talking about her whole presence. And that's not good. Like, you can distance yourself from the way they look and be like, oh my god, and just describe their face and all of that. I think that's really cute. Or if you've seen them work once and you were at a meeting, or not a meeting, but like, if you've observed how they work and you can be just so admiring from like fifth person's point of view, that's also really cool. But it has to be specific. It has to be an area, not like you're like distant from them in general. Yeah. Go off and write! Okay, so today is day 11th of writing love letters for Valentine's Day, and this one I'm actually really excited for because it's from a poet and a critic and an essayist, satirist, garden designer, art concours, letter writer, and wit. Okay, I didn't know wit was a profession. I actually also don't know what wit does. Like, what do you do with your day? Or is that like, oh, and they're funny. I don't know. Okay, so I'm excited to read it from a poet themselves. Okay, so he screenshot this. My book's available on Amazon, Kindle, paperback, hardcover. If you buy it, you get a personalized poem or love letter. Email me. The email's in my bio. Since it's quite close to Valentine's Day, if you want it to be for Valentine's Day, please also message me on Instagram. Okay, let's get into it. He was dogged through his life by ill health. This was attributed to his spending too much time at his books. Huh? But in fact, he had tuberculosis of the bones contracted in infancy, which left his small, crippled, and plagued with various tiresome ailments. He was a great Freuder. Does that mean like fan of Freud? But also had a large circle of devoted friends. He loved female society and was clearly extraordinarily charming. But while women enjoyed his attention and his wit, his deeper feelings was never reciprocated. Aww. Particularly among his friends were two sisters, Martha and Teresa Blanc, and he was corresponded with both, writing at one point to Teresa, "My violent passion for your fair self and your sister has been divided with the most wonderful regularity in the world. Even from infancy I had been in love with one after the other of you, week by week." That is weird. These people are really weird. Like, you don't write that. That's not a good love letter. Okay, another don't. Don't write about anybody else in the love letter except you and the person, unless it's a dog or a pet that they have or you have. Even from okay, Pope never married. What a surprise! And Martha was the chief beneficiary of his will. Okay, that is kind of sad. But okay. 4 letters followed, 1 to each of the Blount sisters. That is weird. That is really weird. And 2 to the Lady Mary Worthner Montagu. What is with people's names? Okay, another intimate marriage to a diplomat living with a Constantinople. Okay, so he wrote to a lot of people that were like either in relationships or related. Okay. Why those didn't work out, I wonder. Okay, I'll read 1 and then, oh, are we getting 4? This is perfect. Okay, we're getting 4. So, until Valentine's Day, this is the guy we're finishing off on. Okay, let's read the first one. Okay. Most Divine. It is some proof of my sincerity towards you that I write when I am prepared by drinking to speak truth. Okay, so first he's drunk. If you're drunk writing a love letter, read it when you're sober again, just to make sure it makes sense. And sure, a letter after 12 at night must abound with the noble ingredient. I think that's fine, writing like where you're at while you're writing it. That's the poet in him, he's good. So far he's a good writer, his dating choices are interesting. The heart must have a bounce of flames, which is at once warmed by wine and dew. Wine awakens and expresses the lurking passions of the mind. As varnished, does the color that are sunken in a picture and brings them out in their natural glowing. My good qualities have been so frozen and locked up in dull constitution at all my former sober hours, that it is very astonishing to me, now I am drunk, to finish too much virtue in me. In these overflowing of my heart, I pay you my thanks for these 2 obliging letters. You favored me with the 18th and 24th instant. Okay. That which begins with my charming Mr. Pope was a delight to me. Beyond all expression, you have at last eternally gained the conquest over your fair sister. It is true, you are not handsome for a woman, for you are a woman, and think you are not. This is like a roast and some poetry in between. But this good humor and tenderness for me has a charm that cannot be resisted. That face must needs to be irresistible, which was adorned with smiles, even when it could not see the ordination of George the First in October 1920. Okay, he's talking about something political. I do suppose you will not I do suppose you will not show this ellipse of vanity, as I doubt not your sister does all I write to her. Weird. Two things you did wrong. You don't insult someone in a love letter. Like, you don't. You say the truth, you talk about complex truths, but being like, you're not handsome or you're not good looking is just an insult. Like a direct insult you don't do. Like, that makes no sense. They don't need that in written. People really don't enjoy insults spoken. I don't think they need it in written to go back to. And then you also don't mention other people. I think the one thing that is interesting, that if you are someone who drinks, I don't think you should drink to write a love letter, but if you're planning to go out, this is a good idea for the 15th, or if you're planning to go out before, for the 14th, I mean. After you went out and you drank with them, like, don't get blackout drunk. I don't think that's going to be great for writing. You write then. That's kind of cute. If it was a date with them, or if you are someone that gets drunk, like, okay, write a love letter, but please read it back when you're sober. Don't write a drunk love letter and then just send it, because you know what that is? That's just drunk text. It's not a love letter, but yeah. And we're continuing with the other ones. He's a mess, but so far all of the ones I've read are a mess, but you can tell that he's a poet with the way he's describing things, and I think the more in detail you can go with describing things in a love letter is also great, so go off and write. Also, if you are not someone that drinks, I want to give you an alternative when you're super tired. Write one when you're super tired, reread it when you're not as tired. Okay, so after this series, I'm not going to talk about love letters for February, the rest of it, because it's been a lot. So, take a screenshot if you would like a personalized poem. If you buy my book, it's available on Kindle and Amazon hardcover and paperback. Take a screenshot and yeah, let's get into it. No, I do love it. It's just I'm filming this all in one day and it's slowly I'm going a little insane. But it's on brand! Okay, so this is again the poet with 10,000 profession that is an absolute mess and wrote a love letter to two sisters. Yeah, let that sink in. But he also had a hard life, so, you know. Okay, most divine. This is the other sister, right? Did they put those together? Am I misreading that? Yeah, this is the other sister. Woohoo! Okay, Madam, I have so much esteem for you, and so much of the other thing that where a handsome fellow, I should do you a vast deal of good. But as it is, all I am good for is to write civil letters or to make a fine speech. The truth is that, considering how often and how openly I have declared love to you, I am astonished and a little affronted that you have not forbid my correspondence, and directly said, see my face no more. It is not enough, madam, for your reputation, that you have your hands pure from the stain of such ink as might be shed to gravity a male correspondence. Alas, while your heart consents to encourage him in his bewildered library of writing, you are not indeed you are not what you would so fain have me think you are approved. I am vain enough to conclude that, like most young fellows, a fine lady's silence is consent, and so I write on. What? A fine lady's silence is consent. Well, it makes sense for the time he was writing. It doesn't make sense, but let's move forward. But in order to be as innocent as possible in this ellipse, I will tell you news. At least he has a little bit of self-awareness. Minuscule, though. For the fact that he's a poet, not that much. You have asked me news 1,000 times. At the first word you spoke to me, which some would interpret as if you expected nothing from my lips. And truly, it is not a sign two lovers are together, when they can be so impertinent as to inquire what the world does. All I mean by this is that either you or I cannot be in love with the other. I leave you to guess which of the two is that stupid and insensible creature, so blind to the other's excellence and charms. Self-awareness is good in a love letter. I don't love this one either. I don't love this one because he's also, again, talking about looks. I think it's interesting. I wonder if he does it in the next two as well, where he has a lot of focus on looks. It's not like, for the most part, his love letters are not deep. He's descriptive with random things that he's good at describing as a poet, but he's not very deep. He's not seeing them at all. So I guess that's a good example of what not to do. I don't know what to take. I guess this would be like, you could write a love letter no matter how long you've been together about the time when you weren't sure if the other person liked you, and that like, oh, did they like me, did they not like me, like before you're like certain that you're together and whatever. Yeah, you could write about that. I think that would be cute. I think it's the cutest the longer you've been together for, because you've already, like, now you've established you like each other. It's great, but it might be fun to revisit that, like, beginning stage. It's almost Valentine's Day. It's the 13th, and we're ready to lock into the end. Okay, so next one is, we're still at the same poet, who's interesting. Take a screenshot, my book, Amazon, Kindle, paperback, hardcover, available. If you would like me to write a personalized poem about you, or about your person, or about your best friend, or about anything else, if you buy it, screenshot it. Email is in my bio, but since it's really close to Valentine's Day, if you want something for Valentine's Day, also message me on Instagram. Let's get into it. To Mary Walter Montagu. I don't know if he was ever in a relationship with any of the people he wrote love letters to. I think for the most part, write one love letter to someone you're not in a relationship to, and then that's it. Like, you don't write thousands. That's weird, in my opinion. Okay. Madam, if to live in the memory of others had anything desirable in it, 'tis what you process with regard to me in the highest sense of the words. There is not a day in which your figure does not appear before me. Your conversations turn to my thoughts, and every scene, place, or occasion where I have enjoyed them, are as lively painted as an imagination, equally warm and tender can be capable to represent them. You tell me the pleasure of being near your son has a greater effect upon your health and spirits. You have turned my affections so far eastward that I could almost be one of his worshippers. For I think the sun has more reason to be proud of raising your spirits than raising all the plants and rippling all the minerals in the earth. That's cute. That's something you can write in your love letter, is something that is valuable to everyone, but you think it's the most valuable to them. Like he did with the sun, and he's like, I think the sun's most impressive thing is that it raises your spirits. I think that's really cute. Or like, oh, water's great, but what it does to your hair is so beautiful, or whatever. Like something quite normal that everyone needs and it's really valuable, but why it's super more valuable with them. It is, in my opinion, a reasonable man might gladly travel 3,000 or 4,000 leagues to see your nature and your wit in their full perfection. What may not we expect from a creature that went over the most perfect of his part of the world, and is every day improving by the sun in the other. If you do not now write and speak the finest things imaginable, you must be content to be involved in the same imputations with the rest of the earth, and be concluded to have abandoned yourself to extreme effeminacy, laziness, and lameness of life. For God's sake, madam, send to me as often as you can, in the dependence that there is no man breathing more constantly or more anxiously mindful of you. Tell me that you are well. Tell me that your little son is well. Tell me that your very dog, if you have one, is well. Defraud me of no one thing that pleases you. For whatever it is, it will please me better than anything else I can do. I am always yours. Okay, he wrote another poem to her, which I will read next. But I think that's a good idea. The one I gave you before, I just wanted to finish reading. The next one is really short, which is good because tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Mwah. Enjoy your reading this far. Congratulations. You're really a very dedicated love letter writer. Okay. Last one. Okay. It's the poet again. So, to Lady Mary Worley Montagu, after her return to England. I might be dead, or you in Yorkshire, for anything that I am. The best for your being in town. I have been sick ever since I saw you last, and now have a swelled face, and very bad. Nothing will do me so much good as the sight of you, dear Lady Mary. When you come this way, let me see you, for indeed I love you. I think this is also super late, but in case you haven't done this, if you didn't actually say I love you in any of the love letters, it would be really cute if you said it on Valentine's Day. Like, if you've never said it. Also, again, be honest, if you don't. If, like, that's the first time you say it, that's cute. Or if you, like, say I love you, hand it to them, and then have the last thing be I love you, that would be so cute. And yeah, maybe you can look back at a time when you were sick and they really helped you out, or just a very specific time they really helped you, and maybe just the sight of them or the thought of them helped. Or if they motivated you at the gym, like, oh, you looked at their pictures and you're like, I'm motivated to get the workout in or something. I think that's also really cute. Okay, we're done. I hope you had fun. If anyone does do these love letters, please let me know, and I would love to see the people's reaction that are receiving the love letters. And I hope you had fun, and the next thing will not be love letters. Last but not least, please screenshot this if you want to check out my poetry book. It's available on Kindle, Amazon, hardcover, and paperback. And yeah, hope you have a nice Valentine's Day.